You know what I love about an episode such as Season 2, Episode 9 of that Mushoku Tensei greatness is that it's my favorite kind of episode. One where characters mostly sit around talking, what they say is so captivating, there's drama, there's tension, the trauma was intensifying, whether on Rudy's side or Sylphie's side. Just everything about it was so spot on, but it's the info drop, the kind of like spreading out the breadcrumbs and feeling like we got to a major point, but realizing that, damn, the journey is just beginning. Because Nanahoshi is under the assumption, not guaranteed, but it's under the assumption that she could be the cause of the mass teleportation. And obviously we see how Fitz, aka Sylphie, took that, because who wouldn't freak out in the face of that, especially given that it kind of seemed like, it was on purpose initially when it was dropped info-wise. But what I like is that this moment is so different than anything else we've really seen this season. And there's been two big pieces of trauma that Rudy's been dealing with in terms of the end of season 1. That was one, being nearly killed by the dragon god and basically, for the first time having a wake-up call and just knowing that he's not strong enough. And then of course it was his seemingly breakup with his girlfriend. And the idea of coming face to face with a mass figure that you thought you probably would never think of again, see, and then there she is just chilling. I mean, it causes him to completely freak out, and I love the touch of them talking like they're back in Japan and having Sylphie just kind of sit in the background not knowing what's going on, only for all these bombshells to drop one after the other. It was absolutely top tier. Now, I do have a full live reaction to today's wonderful episode available on my Patreon, so if you would like to see that, it's over there if you're interested. This was easily my favorite episode of Season 2 so far, and one of my personal favorite episodes of the show as a whole. This is everything I like about this show, and what I like about isekai when they really go into this. Because the idea of more than one character being teleported into a world, we see that. And honestly, the best isekai that do use that concept really go in interesting directions, and I think that's exactly what this author did here. Because what we have is two very different instances of being thrown into this world, but also two very different outcomes of what it means for their future and how they interact with this world. Rudy was hit by a truck and he was killed, and he was reborn, started from scratch. He grew up from this, a baby, and is currently where he is now. He also has no interest going back to Japan. He very much has grown to, as much pain as he might have suffered throughout this world, it's still better for him than where he came from. There's actually things he wants to build and connections here. Where you have with Nanahoshi, not only was she not teleported at the same time seemingly, the fact that when she was brought here, she was actually teleported. She wasn't reincarnated. So basically, what we currently see, she doesn't age, she doesn't think she's immortal, but at the end of the day, Nanahoshi's under the assumption that, like, you know what, I don't want to stay here. I want to find a way, mass teleportation, summoning circles, whatever it is, I want to find a way back to Japan. And ultimately, you have two very different cases of isekai. One, wanting to go back home, and also wasn't, they didn't start from scratch here. This is just being thrown into a foreign world where you really don't want to be here. She says, like, the food sucks. Everything about it just sucks. She wants to go back from where she came. She has connections and family. So, it's interesting in that way where you have Rudy, the complete opposite. But the idea that they both kind of have something the other wants. Now, obviously, Nanahoshi has information that Rudy could very much use, and as we learn, there isn't really mana that she can use, so Rudy can kind of fill in the blanks there. So it's kind of a mutual agreement. What's brilliant about what they accomplish with this episode is it kind of feels like we've been slowly but surely trying to build Rudy in overcoming his trauma with his kind of breakup with Eris, right? Now, obviously, we all know, I say it all the time, if only he knew Eris was just bad at communicating and it wasn't because she hated him by any means. But it doesn't change the fact that he's gonna need someone, and that someone is probably going to be Sylphie, right? Once Sylphie basically accepts that he would remember her and just she needs to tell him. I mean, the princess and her advisor are literally like trying, like, bro, we thought you already told him and like maybe he just forgot. No, she's just scared to tell. So like obviously he has no idea that it is indeed his childhood friend, Sylphie. So in terms of that plot line, we can basically see that the school life, and I mean, Man God literally pointed him to the school for a reason, and that is because Sylphie's here. Like, I don't see any other way to write it other than that, and I mean, I'm welcome to be wrong. If they want to prove me wrong, go ahead. But I think that's where everyone assumes we're going with that piece of trauma. But there was another piece of trauma, and that was Rudy getting skewered. He was turned into a kebab, right? Like, I mean, at the end of the day, that was the first time he really felt fear, as if what he wasn't good enough, and that he had a reality check. And I mean, the fact that he has the fear of, like, you know, it's not like the dragon god's going out of his way to hunt him, but I mean, if you step on too many toes, who knows what's gonna happen, right? She brings up the concept of how, like, you know, this world will try to erase you if you try to change too much or overstep too much. And I mean, everything about Rudy pretty much says he's going to be doing exactly that. But what I like is that a big piece of that trauma was a character that was with Orts, right? And what we have here with Nanahoshi is this kind of mutual agreement. So if we can really gain a friendly enough vibe between these two, and if we can gain, you know, that reveal and that connection between Sylphie and Rudy again, Rudy should be able to leave, and I'm not saying this core, I think it's probably going to take till the end of the next core potentially, but still, Season 2 is all about overcoming trauma and not rushing past that, and that's why these two characters sitting in a room talking was that captivating. Like, literally my favorite episodes in Isekai are stuff like where Subaru talks to Rem for 25 minutes. This is what I love about a show like Mushoku Tensei, is that rather than just being like, okay, Rudy got stabbed through the chest and had a reality check and realizes that he almost died. Oh shit, 2 episodes later, Eris leaves him and he's real sad and he can't get it up anymore. 2 episodes later, he then has this moment. That's a lot of these shows, and even if it's not like the source material, like a lot of times the anime studio just condenses a lot of material and it feels like we rush into it like within 2 or 3 episodes and we're just hitting the main story beats without giving time to flesh things out. And while some people might like to say that, oh, season 2, it's a lot slower, you know, we're not adventuring as much, we're out of school, it's like, well, of course. I mean, Rudy, he pretty much started this show and went through a majority of this show up until season 2, kind of just doing his thing and being a prodigy and just really mastering everything. And then he had a near-death experience. His life flashed before his eyes, his world shattered, and he realizes he needs to start from basics. There's probably a lot he's not going to learn because he already knows it, but at the end of the day, he does know that this school can teach him things, and most importantly, he knows that his own personal trauma will hopefully be overcome by something in this school or someone, as we clearly know. And that's what I like about it. May not be everyone's cup of tea, but I see no difference in quality anywhere from this season compared to the last. Well, there's maybe more explosive moments at face value in terms of certain action scenes or maybe certain emotional weight moments. I love what they're doing with trauma here and exploring the human psyche in a way you don't really see a lot of. And I think by bringing in someone who is the complete opposite, not only with how they were summoned to this world, but most importantly, their opinion on this world, teleported in, starting here from clearly the age they were in Japan, not aging, wanting to go back, screw this world, I need your help, to I want to stay here, I just don't want to suffer anymore, and also, you know what, let's do this, right? It's really good stuff overall. I mean, overall, I'd say this was a 10 out of 10 Mushoku Tensei episode. I'm loving it, I need more, and I'd love to know what everyone thought, because this is a pretty interesting episode. I mean, they're dropping information that we're under the assumption that Nanahoshi could be behind the mass teleportation, even if there's more to it right now. It's a lot more leads than what we've currently had, so let me know your thoughts down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here, of course, ring that bell so you can get notified when I upload more videos to the channel. And like I mentioned, we do have full live reactions available on my Patreon, and hey, while you're there, you also get a video shout out. So today we have Azop, Benjamin Margolis, Ben Liu, Bennett Reiser, Buanake, Monica Lazuria, and Blood iOS. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care and have a good one.